to another edition of the Pagcast. I'm your host, Michael Pagani, joined alongside TMU bold forward Connor Bowie. Connor, welcome to the Pagcast. Thank you again for coming on.
Yes, thanks for having me.
How have you been doing recently? You know, we've had a few preseason games. How are the legs feeling? How do you feel about the team so far?
You know, I'm feeling really good with my choice to come to TMU. Obviously, it's a hard choice when you're deciding with schools across Canada and what to do. But I'm just very happy with the choice I made. Body's definitely a little sore after these first few games. It's a very physical league. I talked to a lot of people about the USports league, and they told me it was a man's league. And I didn't really understand what that meant coming from the WHL because, like, I was thinking, yeah, I've played against big guys. I played against, strong players.
Yeah, exactly.
I will say this 100% confident. This league is another level.
Yeah, well, see, it's funny because, like, I was talking with Dustin about, how's the transition going? And he's like, yeah, like, the players are so much bigger. Well, you look at Evan Brand, right? On D, like, he's a monster out there.
The players, yeah, Brando's big, but the players everybody's bigger, everybody's faster, everybody's stronger, and ultimately that's where you want to be. You want to be taking that next step, playing with better players, but it definitely is a bit of an adjustment.
So it seems like you've been kind of used as an all-situational player, PK, PP, to earn the trust of the coach already so far. As a new player, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, it definitely means a lot to be put out in basically any situation from Johnny already. We've talked quite a bit about kind of different roles that I could have on this team, and he kind of laid it out for me as basically somebody that's taking key faceoffs on the power play, key faceoffs on the penalty kill. Lots of offensive zone faceoffs as well. Kind of just all situation, overtime even from last night. So it's just it feels great to get the trust from him early on.
You had your first action of, the big rivalry, U of T versus TMU, and although it was preseason, what are your thoughts on it so far?
I'm really excited for this rivalry. I have to say the boys were calling it the Subway Series because we take the subway over to U of T. And it's pretty funny, but the rivalry is real, and you can feel it. I already feel it one exhibition game in, so I think that's definitely going to be a big one in the next couple months here and even the next few years maybe. I think it's really going to turn into something. It's going to be a battle for sure.
Maybe that could be a possible homecoming game there. That would be something.
I think, a homecoming game, a Subway Series battle of us versus U of T could be a big one.
Gets the boys dialed in, gets the fans dialed in. Like, we want a rocking. We want to pack the MAC, right?
I honestly think if we did a homecoming with us against U of T, I think it would get bumping in there.
What has worked for you so far through the first couple games of preseason?
I would say against these bigger, stronger D, what's really working is just like getting the puck behind them. Working it down low in the corners and kind of shooting from anywhere. Because like when you're playing in a rink like U of T's, it's so much smaller than what you're used to. So like any shot is a good shot. You can really shoot from anywhere. So I would say just getting more pucks to the net basically, and just just getting creative out there.
And I would also like to mention, I think you were playing alongside of Portacalis there for a few shifts. He's been really laying the lamp there. It seems like he's flowing with a lot of confidence.
Yeah, he definitely is. Again, shooting the puck a lot. We're really enjoying playing together so far. We've had one game together. I think we're also playing together tomorrow night. So, the chemistry's coming. We'll just keep it going.
What are your thoughts on the new team name? Because look, I think it's terrible. I think there were definitely better options out there, but yeah, I don't like the name.
I'll say I really liked the Rams.
Yeah,
I like the Ryerson. It's like I get that needed to be changed. It's unfortunate, but that's what needs to happen. If we could have kept the Rams, I would have been really happy with that.
Yeah.
I thought the logo was sweet. The big ram behind the goalie's net was really cool.
Yeah.
The whole thing was awesome. But the thing that I was getting upset about is because I thought we were going to lose our jerseys and lose the team colors and everything, but we're keeping the blue and gold.
Which is nice.
So that's going to stay the same.
Yep.
But the team name, the Bold, it's not... I guess it's unique.
Yeah,
you know?
I just don't think there's any flavor to it, to be honest.
No.
And it's weird that like the mascot doesn't work off of the team name. You know, you look at other sport, team names. I'm trying to a blank here. I like the Bills, for example. I got a Bills hat on, so like they have a buffalo as their mascot, right? So and then like for us, the Bold, we have a falcon. So I don't know. I just wanted to get your opinion on that.
Yeah, the falcon to me, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
No. It's a bit weird there. And I guess continue on this theme of working on and what has worked for you. What part of your game did you work on this past off season?
Oh, I was working on everything. I mean, just because I heard so much about the league of like everybody's laying it out like, hey, they're gonna be stronger, they're gonna be faster.
Yeah,
you're not gonna be that strongest guy anymore, kind of thing. So I mean, it was from face-offs to shooting to like just like overall fitness, puck battles, puck protection, everything, just power play work, like anything you could think of, I was getting after this summer.
And I guess getting into a couple questions about who you are, like who was your biggest influence growing up?
Wow, so growing up in a small town like I did, I think it definitely was coming from like my coaches when I was younger, for sure.
Yeah.
I had a lot of really good coaches when I was, like Pee-wee Bantam area that really, really helped push me along because, as you know, those are pretty pivotal years, when you're going through your hockey career. So, I mean, I definitely had a few coaches that really helped me along, or even just skills coaches back there that were really pushing me. But, I mean, it's even like a whole community. Just like if you're from like Fort St. John, so it's just a small town, but it's like it's almost like all the support kind of goes with you and they're always supporting you, so it's pretty nice.
Did you have any player who you wanted to model your game after?
Yeah, I mean, I've always really liked Patrice Bergeron.
Yeah.
That was like kind of my guy. I mean, he's a stud actually. Like, but he's really good on like face-offs. He's an offensive guy. He's a defensive guy. He's everywhere. It's a 200-foot player.
Yeah.
If you see the maps, they do these like tracker maps for NHL games. So it'll be like where Patrice Bergeron has been like that game. Mm-hmm. So you just pick any game into the regular season, you look at it, and it has like this little red line following him. The whole ice is red. Just because like he's below his net, he's below their net, he's like everywhere. And I've kind of like, I think, pride myself in doing that as well, is maybe being a guy that's just like kind of flying, helping, supporting, attempting to like, try things on the ice, and so I've always really looked up to him.
Well, there's a reason why he's won so many Selkies, right? And why he's regarded as a top 5 center in the league.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
he's just an absolute stud out there.
Really, really good.
You're from BC. Did you grow up a Canucks fan?
I didn't know.
Really?
I know, and which is like, I think kind of maybe surprising too. It seems like everybody out here thinks I'm a Canucks fan.
Yeah, you're from, you're from BC, like you'd think that, right?
Yeah, no, I'm a big Colorado Avalanche fan.
Yep.
I just like, I've always really liked, again, Nathan McKinnon. I just think he's just an unreal player. So, I mean, he's there, Makar's there. I like Rantanen a lot, Landeskog. So, I think instead of teams, I'm more of like a player follower, I think.
Yeah, 100%.
So, I mean, if maybe McKinnon got dealt somewhere else, I might start following them a little bit more.
That doesn't look like that's happening.
Yeah, actually.
The guy just got the bag.
He signed that big deal. But yeah, so I would say I'm definitely more of into like the players rather than the teams, I guess.
Playing for the Fort St. John minor hockey teams such as the Flyers, how did they help with your development?
Yeah, I mean, again, like it was a big decision back then because you're getting asked to maybe move to a different city because you're playing in such a small town. You're not playing that many games a season. Everybody's kind of, I guess, coaches are after you, and you're young. Like you're 12, 13, and coaches are calling your house and saying, "Hey, move to Vancouver, move to Edmonton or whatever." And ultimately, I always wanted to stay home and just play with my friends. I think it was good for me in a way because I was like still able to be a kid, still hanging out with my buddies and everything when other guys that I grew up with kind of took off early, went to Kelowna or whatever. And just talk to them now. That's the first thing they say they regretted, is just like leaving too soon almost, and missing out on that childhood part.
It must have helped, and this goes into, I guess, my next point there, which you kind of talked about, but going through Bantam and Midget, it must help being around the same guys, right? Kind of like the brotherhood.
Yeah, I mean, when I got to that age, when you're like 14, 15, it was really, really tough because there was like bigger, better teams in, let's say, Prince George, so like 5 hours away from me. And the plan was to kind of go there, and I was going to take that next step kind of thing. And then at the end of the day, again, I was like, I feel more comfortable at home. I have a good relationship with my coach. I got my family. I can live at home. Got my buddies around. And I think that helped me development-wise, just because you're on the ice with your buddies every day. Like, you want to be on the ice. Like, my coaches were forcing me to get off the ice after practice. Like, they're like, you got to go home kind of thing. So, I mean, I think it also helped was when I was playing at that time, like, you have the puck on your stick all game.
Yep.
Every game. Like, and like, I think confidence-wise, it's just like your game goes to another level when like you're going out and like maybe you're trying things that like you would never be able to try anywhere else, but like you're just trying them out just because you can, and I think it really helps.
Have you tried the lax? Have you tried pulling off the lacrosse? Whether it's in practice?
I've only tried it once. It was last year in an inter-squad game in Prince George. I went for it. I got one of my good buddies killed me because I came around the other side, and like if you're not looking, like you can just get kind of ran.
Oh, exactly.
So he just ran me because he knew exactly what I was gonna do, and like of course like you're not gonna let your buddy pull the Michigan on you.
Yeah, exactly.
So I got hit pretty hard there. It was a good laugh, but I've never tried it in a game. I mean, I don't know what Johnny would say if I busted that one out this year, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah, exactly. Talking about the WHL there, you were drafted to Portland, but, you kind of got traded afterwards. But talking about the draft, it was the 2016 WHL draft, which was the Krebs, Doc, and Byron draft, right? Yeah. So very loaded, but you went much later. What were your immediate reactions to getting drafted?
Man, that whole Bantam Draft situation was quite wild because I didn't even know what the Bantam Draft was going into my second year. Because, I was so... I'm not going to say, removed, but, I was just kind of doing my own thing in northern BC, playing hockey. I didn't even know what it was until my coach of my second year Bantam was like, hey, I think you have a pretty good chance of getting drafted this year. And I remember talking to my parents and being like, what is he talking about? What is that? And all my buddies were on me. They're like, you don't know what that is. You don't know what that is. Anyway, so I didn't, I had a couple good conversations with Portland, Red Deer, a couple teams.
Oh, okay.
Portland came down and I would say definitely showed the most interest. There was U17s going on in Fort St. John at the time, so they sent down a couple scouts to kind of watch the U17s and me at the same time.
Yeah.
So I had some really good conversations with their head scout at the time, and then, eventually on that day they gave me a call.
That's wild, because it's funny to me that you never really kind of took notice about this Bantam draft, because I don't know, I find that it's always on the kids' radars.
Yeah, and I honestly think maybe it was good for me that I was literally just playing. I had no exterior motives for playing. I literally just was playing and wanted to do the best I could just because I love playing hockey.
Exactly. It was kind of those personal expectations, right? There were no expectations set outside of, I guess, your circle. Right?
It was definitely me just want to be the best player, just maybe to make my coaches happy, make sure I was happy, and then there was really nothing else outside of that. So I mean, I think maybe it helped.
What do you remember from getting drafted? How did you celebrate?
That whole thing was kind of funny, because you're so young, you're grade 9.
Yeah,
so I'm
crazy.
I'm just hanging out in class. My phone's going off a little because at the same another thing which is outrageous. I'm not even watching it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. They don't even give you the day off. You still have to go to school.
Yeah,
I talked with a bunch of WHL players that are the same situation as you.
Oh yeah, I was in the science class. I'm not even watching the draft. I'm just going through my day, and then your phone, Twitter, because I got Twitter right around the same time because I realized kind of what was going on, and a lot of the Bantam Draft stuff is on Twitter.
Yeah.
So and then my Twitter starts kind of going off a little bit, and then like I remember getting a couple calls, and I like go to my teacher. I'm like, hey, like, and like my teacher's probably thinking like, what is this kid like? Why is his phone like going so crazy? You know what I mean?
It's like one of those teachers that's like, all right, hand me your phone at the start of class.
Oh yeah, I remember she was nice about it, but she was kind of like, what's going on? Like, because my phone was on the table, and it's just like, zzz. But yeah, I mean, then my dad sent me a text and just said, meet me outside. Went outside. He had the whole lowdown. They called him like right before they called me, and he kind of let me know I was headed to Portland in a couple months, so it was pretty cool.
You weighed in at 6'1", 179 at the draft, and now according to Elite Prospects, you're 6'3", 214. How much of your game is based on your size?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, I try to use it as much as I can. I would say, when it comes to size, especially in hockey, it definitely helps. You know,
100%.
It's a huge component. So if you have it, I think it's a real shame if you're not trying to use that. I think for me, it's huge. I use it for puck protection. I use it for hitting guys. I got a long stick. I can poke pucks away. I can steal pucks. Or even like, if you got that long stick, you can drag and change the angle on goalies. There's so many different things you can do with like kind of wide frames. So I mean I really try to put it into everything.
And it must help you, be so tall as you are in such a big league, right? Like USports is.
Well, yeah, I would say I'm definitely lucky that I'm this big, and that I was been preparing for this, because I mean out there's big guys everywhere.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
and then it comes down to now like who's going to use that size and that speed better.
So you never played for Portland. How did you find out about the trade?
Yeah, so that one was also another very unique situation, because I signed real early in Portland. I signed when I was 15, so I could get in those exhibition games right away. Mm-hmm. And then I was kind of up and down with Portland throughout my 15-year-old year, practicing and just kind of like, I think I was scratched for probably 8 or 9 games that year just watching, and I was kind of like, when am I going to get in?
Yeah, I know, you have that itch, right?
Yeah, I'm losing it, because like when you're 15 and the team keeps bringing you up, you're thinking, okay, like this is my chance. Like exactly. I'm going to get out there, and like playing in the dub at 15, like that's crazy. Mm-hmm. So I was just like, but I feel like they thought I was big enough that I could. But anyway, the start of my 16 year, again, in class once again, get a call from the GM, and I have to go up to my teacher and be like, hey, like...
It's the GM of the Winterhawks. You gotta let me in.
Like, the GM of my hockey team is calling me, and he's just like, okay, like, what? Like, kind of gives me that look. But anyway, I take it, and he's just like, hey, it was on deadline day or the day before, and he said, like, we can make the biggest deal in, like, basically WHL history in the last couple of years, because when you're that young, you have to like agree.
Yes. And
they obviously knew where I was from, and Prince George is my hometown team, so they were like, hey, think about it, let us know, because they wanted Devin Chalowski, because they wanted to go to Memorial Cup.
Oh yeah. And
Prince George had no young guys at the time, so it was kind of a good deal, like, for both sides. And one of my good buddies, Elijah Kalina, was also in part of the deal. So it was really good. And then obviously eventually I said yes. I mean, to some people, I think getting traded from Portland to PG is like, they were like, wow, like that's crazy. Like they're like, why would you ever want that? But I was like kind of fired up.
Oh, 100%.
I was pumped. I was like, my parents drove me down, I think a week later, and like they were watching all my games. My buddies were coming out to watch my games, like the whole situation. Like, and then I didn't want to leave, so I spent the rest of my career there.
Well, not only does it get you fired up because of, like, you're kind of scratch, you're itching, right? And, like, it doesn't look like that the team's ever going to kind of put you in because they were chasing for the Mem Cup at that time, right?
Yeah.
So then the trade comes, and you get to go to PG in a much better situation. You get more opportunity because they didn't have any young players, right? Because at the time of the trade, most of their players probably would have been graduated.
Yeah.
So it just worked out for you.
It was really, really good. Yeah, I mean, and like even the coaching staff and everything. Like as soon as I got there, they're like, hey, like again, like they Prince George went for it. I believe like 2 years before that. So they're like, we have no young guys. Like we're gonna have to rebuild again. So they're like, this is perfect. We get a good group of young guys, and then like we just went from there.
So then you made your WHL debut a few seasons later at Kamloops. What was the plan behind that?
I mean,
because like did like PG want you to complete your junior A career, or did they like what was the plan for you? I guess.
I mean, just like the way that the trade worked, I went back when at the start of my 16-year-old year, and I actually was playing midget in Fort St. John again.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I played out that year, and then just played like I remember I went to like a junior B. Provincials for my hometown team as well.
Okay.
And then Prince George called me up, and they were like, "Okay, like let's do this thing."
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess you could call it more of a development year kind of thing. Mm-hmm. I mean, there was a lot of time in there where they were figuring the trade out, and there was lots of moving parts in that time. But I was honestly really happy if I wasn't playing in Portland to be playing at home. So it all really worked out well. And it was funny because I went from playing midget AA to playing junior B provincials to playing in the WHL for 10 games, then going back and playing midget AA provincials after that.
Oh, what?
So the funniest part about it is because like all the guys in my league were coming to provincials, and like they knew, they're like, oh, like Bowie's not going to be playing provincials, like, like whatever, they're happy about that, whatever, like that they think. So I was making sure I was coming back. I even wore a cage all of my games in the WHL. I played like 10 or something that year.
Is it cage or bubble? Which one?
I wore a cage.
I wore a cage as well.
I wore a cage every game just for the fact that I could come back and play provincials with my team. I wasn't going to let my coach down or my team down or anything. So I remember I missed the provincial banquet, and then I came back, and like I was at the next game, and like the parents and the kids were just like up in like arms about the whole thing. Like, he can't be here. He's not allowed to. Like, I actually think I ripped like 3 home game 1. Like, I was on like.
Oh my god.
I was just like, yeah, I was on it.
You turned the switch.
Oh yeah. But I mean, again, really fun provincials. But yeah, it was funny how that worked out.
And then, like, because, like, it was a 7-6 Kamloops win in your WHL debut there. They won in the shootout. What do you remember from that?
Yeah, I mean, that's so long ago now, it feels like. I mean, I just remember, like, being so nervous before the game, going over, like, all the plays with the assistant coach. I mean, again, like, even, like, 16, like, it's so young. Like, in just, like, thinking about, like, playing in that league, at 17, 18, 19, 20, like, 16 playing in that league it's pretty crazy. I would say a lot of chipped pucks for sure. Maybe not a whole lot of time with the puck on my stick, just like passing my teammates as quick as possible.
Yeah, don't let me have the shot.
Attempting not to get scored on, I think, was probably the main goal.
Yeah, definitely.
I remember I was playing with a couple other 16-year-olds that night too, and we were all just like, you make your plan, you're getting the puck in, you're not getting scored on, but yeah, I mean, it was quite the experience, and to get the win against a good Kamloops team was a good start.
Well, and it's also kind of funny because a month later, like literally an exact month later, you scored your first WHL goal against Kamloops, but this time it was on home ice. And it must have been a funny joke afterwards because it was against the same team you made your debut against.
Actually, yeah. So I did score against Kamloops. My first dub goal was against Portland.
It was?
Yeah.
That's wild. Because that wasn't documented on the WHL website.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no. If you go under your bio, it says first WHL goal, like versus Kamloops.
Oh, no, they messed that up.
Oh, yeah. Man, someone's slacking.
My first dub goal was at home against Portland when Portland came down in March. And it was funny because it was the first time I've ever played against Portland, obviously, because like they traded me. It was the first time we played them, and I went down and we scored 3 minutes in. I literally, my liney, Reed Purpluck actually gave me a cross-ice sauce, which is like, it was outrageous, and I hammered it.
Oh, yeah. You made sure that it was going to go in.
Yeah, and like, it was actually crazy because like, I really like, I don't know what it was. I felt like I was going to bury one, but like, you never know. And like, again, I was just so young, but like, yeah, buried that, complete blackout. I was just like, what is happening? Like, did I just score? Like, this is crazy.
And then over the last couple seasons with PG, you were part of the leadership group. What did it mean for you to be named as alternate captain?
Yeah, I mean, that was awesome. I originally got the A, I guess, in our bubble season when my 19-year-old year. Yep. So got to wear the A for 22 games then and kind of get my first, I guess, real taste of the leadership. And then obviously again the next year wearing the A once again was great. It's it's awesome being a voice in the room, an older guy helping out the younger guys. It was an honor for sure.
What was the bubble like?
I mean,
it was something.
Yeah, so like a lot of guys like have different opinions on it. Like some guys really disliked it. We had, some guys that weren't able to handle it and they kind of went home. But I mean, I really liked it. I actually liked it, which is like, I think kind of insane.
Well, it is because you guys had no fans.
But it was me and so how it worked was like me and my roommate, Maj Kadora, we're in a hotel room together, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 2
guys to every room. And I mean, we could walk to the rink every day. Our farthest travel was 1 hour to Kelowna. You play like, it wasn't even like days anymore because like, it wasn't like we were playing Friday, Saturday night. Like you played Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, Monday, Wednesday. Like we were just playing all the time. So like you literally were playing a game every 2 days. And I really liked it. Like, and it was like the only thing that was happening.
Well, yeah, because there was nothing else, right?
So like you'd wake up, go to practice, go back to your hotel, and like those days kind of sucked, I'm gonna be honest, because like we couldn't go to parks, or going to other guys' rooms was like okay, a little bit restricted.
Yeah.
So like that was unfortunate. So like you do whatever you want to like hang out with the guys, go get ice cream or whatever, because there was an ice cream shop in the hotel.
Nice.
So like we'd hit that a lot, or we'd just play cards kind of thing. Just like get the time, or PS4, like whatever, hop on chill with the boys. But I mean. So those days sucked, but like game days, I really enjoyed it because like that was it, and I was able to like I honestly liked it. Like I was kind of buzzing. I thought it was
because like it's like 3 or 4 hours or even 5 hours of your day gone, right?
Yeah.
And like when you have practice, you wake up, go to the arena, then come back, and you still have like 9 hours every day left, and you're just like, all right, what do we do now?
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of like I said, like PS4 games being played, Xbox, whatever, cards, movies. Like we started a movie group. Like we'd meet after practices, like in one of the boys' rooms. Maybe there's 5-6 of us. So we're just watching a movie. I would say like the amount of ordered food.
Oh, I'm sure.
Was out of control. I remember I was a Skip the Dishes Gold member for like 2 months. And it was a big joke because like we didn't realize that like you could order enough Skip the Dishes that you could be considered a gold member. So
that's hilarious.
Yeah, I was a gold member for a bit. It was a good experience though.
So then how are you going to take these leadership qualities and become a leader with the Bold this season, even though you're a first-year player?
Yeah, I definitely want to. Even though I'm a first-year guy, I think I can still be like a leader for this team. Mm-hmm. Maybe not with a letter, but just in different ways, and maybe work my way into that eventually. But just, like I would say, just trying to lead by example, maybe on the ice, and just doing the right things rather than if that's in the offensive zone, the defensive zone, just kind of being a complete player all over the ice. And I think I can just lead by example and just try and be a go-to guy.
Who, in your opinion, was the hardest player to play against in the dub?
Wow.
Because you have you have all the stars, right? But maybe it was like a third liner, maybe it was a fourth liner, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, going through the WHL career, I definitely was playing against like how it was set up. Like I would most of the time be playing against the other teams, like let's say first line. Mm-hmm. It would be more like a kind of a shutdown role situation, and so I mean. I'll pick out of the BC div because like I played guys like Kirby Dack and I played against Bowen Byram a lot actually, but I mean I would say Logan Stankoven probably, especially because he's a Kamloops Blazers guy, and like so we play them so many times throughout the year that like I would say he's pretty tough to play against. He's just like he's pretty quick, so like you really got to be on it like to make sure that like you're catching him, and he's got a really good shot. So I'd say probably Stankoven.
The guy has a lethal shot. Like I he's a friend of the show here. I text him every so often. He's just at Stars training camp right now. Yeah. Guy's an absolute stud there. And he was really like a highlight of the Kamloops playoffs last year.
For sure.
Like his playmaking ability, and it just like the way that he uses his size. Whether because he's I think around 5'10" or something.
He's pretty small.
Yes, he's undersized by many standards, but the way he uses it to his advantage to create that separation, and like you mentioned with the shot, like it's unreal.
Yeah, he's definitely like real quick, and like if you're smaller like that, like if we're gonna look at guys, like Johnny Gaudreau and like those smaller guys in the league, like like they're small, but like if they have the acceleration to get out of there and the puck protection, like they'll be fine.
How come you decided to commit to TMU?
I mean, there was a lot of list taking. There was a lot of conversation about it. I mean, at the end of the day, TMU had the best facility, the best coaching, the best players, and just the best overall school.
Now, did any players ever reach out to you and say, like, you know what, this is my kind of offer to you to come join us at TMU, this is?
Yeah, so I came down to Toronto, I would say right around May, and to do, check it out a little bit.
Yeah, do a visit,
and especially being like a West guy, I haven't really been out here a lot. I've been to Nova Scotia a few times, but haven't really been to Toronto much. So I came out, met with Johnny. Then he introduced me to, a few of the players that kind of gave me, I think, a little bit more insight to what it was really about. And that helped me make that decision a little bit easier, because once I met the guys, the older guys that I was going to be around, for the next year or 2 years, it really, I think, put it home for me. Okay, this is where I need to be. These are guys that want to get better every day. Mm-hmm. They're the guys that are talking about, AHL or Europe deals that they're getting, and they're working at their school. It was just good people that I wanted to surround myself around. And then as soon as I came here and I saw the older guys were like that, well, then the younger guys will follow suit. So it's going to be a good culture here. So it made the decision pretty easy.
Now, did any other schools give you an offer?
Yeah, so I mean, again, being from the West, I was talking to a lot of the teams over there. I mean, I would say I was kind of slotted to go to U of A from February on. I mean, I talked to Herbie at U of A many times. We had lots of good conversations. Both my brothers go to U of A.
There you go. There's that family connection.
So it was kind of in the beginning, I would say there was almost an understanding where it was he's like, you're coming here, and I was like, yeah, that's where I want to go. And then, and then there's other schools like U of C, MRU, there's other ones in there, but let's just say U of A was kind of the big one.
Yeah.
And then I was talking to a couple schools in the East, we talked about Carleton and a couple others, but then it really came down to U of A, and then after I talked to Johnny and met some of the players, then it was TMU.
Oh, yeah.
And then eventually, There's other parts to it, but it was just I was always kind of in the West. I kind of wanted to change, wanted to try something new, and TMU was just the best spot.
And I guess, my last question for you would be, do you have any advice for younger hockey players?
Yeah, I mean, one thing I'll say is everybody's path is different. If somebody were to dive into my path, they would be like, what the heck is happening here? He's bouncing all over the place.
Yeah, exactly.
He's playing, why is he staying in Fort St. John? Why? Yeah. But here I am, and I'm, extremely happy and grateful for where I'm at. So I would just say stay patient, and, no matter where you are, they're going to come and find you.
Awesome. Well, I'd like to thank again Connor Bowie for joining me on today's Pagcast. Thank you again, Connor.
Yeah, thanks for having me.